Welcome to the second episode of Olevels Biology. I'm Larry, and today we will be covering on Chapter 2, Movement of Substances. This is based on the latest science syllabus. This is a general view on this bright chapter, and for more information about me and the services I provide, please visit www.larrylu.com. I hope that this will be helpful to you. Please sit back and enjoy the video. Thank you. Chapter 2, Movement of Substances. In Chapter 1, we studied the various cellular structure, and what we want to do in this chapter is to learn how does transportation of materials happen in and out of the cell. But first, let's learn some definition. Concentration gradient is defined as the concentration of substance gradient difference between two regions. This is important as some of the concepts we talk on later will depend on this concentration gradient. Diffusion is defined as the movement of particles from high to low concentration. Osmosis is defined as the movement of water molecules from high to low water potential. Note that the difference between diffusion and osmosis is that osmosis only applies for water molecules. Lastly, active transport is defined as the movement of particles from high to low concentration, but the difference between active transport and the rest of the two processes is that it utilizes ATP, which is the energy currency in the cell. Diffusion. In this diagram, we see that there are two different concentrations of substances separated by a semi-permeable membrane. On the left side, there's a higher concentration of substances than on the right side. As diffusion occurs over time, the movement of molecules will move from the left to the right down a concentration gradient. Diffusion does not require a membrane. However, a semi-permeable membrane is used in this example to illustrate the fact that only molecules of a certain size are allowed to pass through. The rate of diffusion depends on the concentration gradient, which means that as concentration gradient increases, the diffusion rate will also increase. An example of diffusion can be seen in this diagram. This is a cell surface membrane which is semi-permeable to allow substances such as proteins, nutrients, and ions to diffuse through into the cell interior. Osmosis. In this diagram, we can see that there is a water potential difference between the left and the right side. On the right side, there is a higher level of water potential than on the left. Remember, osmosis is defined as the movement of water molecules from high to low water potential. Thus, water molecules move from the right to the left side, recording a rise in water level on the left side. As suppose we put an animal cell in an isotonic solution whereby the water potential is equal. The animal cell will remain normal as both the water concentration inside and outside of the cell are of the same potential. However, in a hypotonic solution, the animal cell will eventually swell and lyse due to water molecules moving into the cell. In a hypotonic solution, the cell will eventually shrivel as water molecule moves out of the cell due to the water potential difference. Active transport is defined as the movement of substances against a concentration utilizing ATP. In this diagram, we can see an example of active transport whereby the carrier protein is embedded in the cell surface membrane. The particles move from outside of the cell into the cell interior only if ATP is present. And this ATP serves as the energy currency that comes from cell respiration. Since this process requires ATP, active transport can only be found in living cells. Lastly, let's recap what we have learned in this chapter. Diffusion is the movement of substances from high to low concentration. Osmosis is defined as the movement of water molecules from high to low water potential. Active transport is the movement of particles from low to high concentration utilizing ATP. This table summarizes the differences between the three main processes we have learned in this chapter. They are based on a different factor such as concentration gradient, types of particles, whether these processes occurs in non-living or living things, and whether do they require ATP. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Chapter 3, Chemicals of Life. For more information about me and my services, please visit www.larrylu.com. See you and goodbye.